Well, the received wisdom here is things are a little bit better than expected. 187,000 jobs created during the month of August. That is exactly the same as the prior month. I'm waiting for the revisions to drop here because I don't think, here we go, 187,000. Wow. The unemployment rate, though, rises to 3.8%. Check that box for the Federal Reserve, I guess. We'll check on the non-farm payrolls revision in just a second. The change in manufacturing payrolls is big, 16,000. That was presaged in the ADP report, but it's kind of odd given the stories we've seen about manufacturing these days. Average hourly earnings come in much lower than anticipated, 0.2 increase after 0.4 last month, and on a year-over-year basis, that pushes us down to 4.3%. Now, that was what was expected. Labor force participation rate rises 62.8, which is kind of interesting. So a lot of underlying details here I'm going to want to check. The July number for the total payrolls is 157,000 after revisions, significantly lower, which means that we had a rise to the same level that we had last month. But that means probably a revision to August will be coming. Change in private payrolls, 155,000. That was initially reported as 172,000. It's 179,000 today. So 2 months, the revision, 110,000. Thank you to Bob in Connecticut for pointing that out to me. And it looks like this is the kind of report that will keep the Fed sidelined in
November. Come on, Mike.
September.
November.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to November yet because anything can happen. And I want to look into the details because there's a lot of threads to pull on this report.
Can you say this is strike-induced? Are the actors and the screenwriters and vet bills off on strike, SAG and that? Can you plug in an L.A. entertainment strike to give us these gloomy numbers?
I give you a bigger one, and that is the Yellow Trucking Company going out of business. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that cost about 30,000 jobs during the month, and that if you add those back in, then you would have a much more significant jobs gain than what we've seen. The other thing that stands out is that we have had a decline in state and local education, a significant decline in that, which is a seasonal adjustment issue because, of course, August is when everybody goes back to school and the teachers should be on the job, so it's pushing down that number and maybe artificially low.
Before we get to Professor Krosner, Michael McKee, you mentioned this as you always do, the wage dynamic. And you've told me, you schooled me, folks, year over year is for old fossils like me. Month over month is where the cool people like Mike McKee are. The month over month hourly earnings number from a 0.4 to 0.2, that's substantial, isn't it?
It is, and it does suggest that wage gains are slowing down. Now, interesting that the people in the trucking industry and the people in manufacturing who might be on strike coming up, those are higher paid jobs, so they would influence the overall number. We did see a big increase, as we have almost every month, in leisure and hospitality, about 40,000 jobs added there. Construction is kind of interesting because 22,000 additional jobs at a time when people say we can't find construction workers, and when home builders are putting homes in the ground as fast as you can do. The truckers actually lost 37,000 jobs, not just 30,000 jobs. So that was a significant headwind for these numbers.
Before we get to Krosner, Mike, I got to slip in one more question as you dive towards the 9 o'clock hour. We'll have a lot more perspective here. AMC says Miss Swift, her concert film breaks advanced sales records. You've been doing this for years. Can you tell me two entertainers, Taylor Swift and Beyonce, can move the needle on American GDP?
No, I'm not going to. I'm an outlier on that. The amount of money that they have generated is substantial, but it is a drop in the bucket compared to a $24 trillion economy. A couple of economists said that the Taylor Swift tour would add to August employment. I don't know how they would be thinking that. The tour began on March 27th and ended on August 9th. So you would think any Taylor Swift employment would have been accounted for.
And you've seen how many? You've seen 3 shows?
Yeah, and I'm actually getting ready to go to Europe and follow her around.